Hey guys, Welkin Tang here, portrait and street photographer in Los Angeles. First YouTube video, so welcome to the channel. Main goal here is to just give myself a reason to get out on the street and shoot a little more. And another goal with this is to reach out to some other creatives, street photographers, and otherwise to get them on the channel just for some interviews, kind of podcast style, but walking is what I'm thinking, but that could change, who knows. I think the first topic that I want to cover that might be a little interesting is what is street photography. There are a lot of different opinions, so just want to throw my hat in the ring on that. Alright, so I think the lowest common denominator answer is going to be taking pictures of strangers, but if I had to be a bit more elegant about it, I think street photography is about everyday life. It's about the intersection between probably documentary, photojournalism, and some artistic pursuits. So that would be my answer. It isn't really, to me, as much about specific techniques or having permission or using certain cameras. It all doesn't really matter, and I think the same has been thought by many of the most prominent documentary and street photographers that we know about. For example, if we look at Bruce Gilden, all he really had to say on the matter was that if you could something like smell the street and taste the dirt, then you knew it was street photography. Gary Winogrand didn't actually like being called a street photographer. All he ever really said was that he hated the term and kind of wished it would go away and only wanted to be known as a photographer. As far as another prominent street photographer that we know about, there's Vivian Maier, who died in complete obscurity. So with the most prominent examples, we really don't know about their thoughts on the matter or that they actively didn't like the term. So for us today, practicing anything in the vein of street photography, I don't think there's a reason for us to tightly define it. So if it's something that I can't even strictly define and only can vaguely speak about, you might be asking, why am I even interested in it? And I guess it all just kind of comes back to when I was living by myself abroad and just kind of want to document all these everyday things, and the people ended up in my photos, and you always just kind of have that curiosity. I think it's kind of like when you're a kid and you're in your parents' car and you see all the other cars in traffic and kind of wonder where could all these other people be going, and it's just an innate curiosity about the world. As I've matured, I mean, I think those curiosities kind of go into more specific areas. I'm walking through Chinatown, where I often photograph right now, because many of the projects that I work on personally revolve around culture, identity, preservation, and I think that also can help out others when they're thinking about their street photography, is to kind of consider their interests, their curiosities, their reason for doing it, their why. I think it'll kind of give them a little more direction. So something I'd like to finish up on is, how do you do street photography? Some of you still might want some direction, and I want to kind of give my take on it. So a lot of people say that you should buy a camera and a prime lens or something compact like this, the Ricoh. I don't think that's strictly necessary. Even if you want to use your phone, totally fine. If you want to use a telephoto lens, that's fine. You know, use whatever you have or can afford. But as far as the direction that you take, I think a lot of the terms that you're going to see are candid and the decisive moment, or something about moving to New York City. And I think we just want to move beyond that as far as how to do street photography. I think no matter where you are, kind of think about the characteristics of the city. What do you like about the city? What kind of defines the people in that city? How can you highlight those aspects of it? Maybe even give yourself a kind of creative brief on your own street photography. I don't want to say concept, because a lot of times concepts can be like shapes, colors, and then people kind of get boxed in their own head and only want to shoot these specific things. But I think something a little more free flow can be really beneficial, but also still give you some direction and a framework for your thought process. Alright guys, so hopefully it doesn't seem like too much of a cop-out, since I didn't strictly define street photography and don't have really strict, narrow guidelines for you to practice for your first time, but the goal is to get as many people out here shooting, using their cameras, and feeling as comfortable as possible without the mental block of dealing with all of the rules and conventions set forth by some of our predecessors, or some people that just want to maybe keep the genre and kind of keep it in this little box where they don't have competition. So get out there, go shoot some street photography, and thanks for watching.